Okay, good morning or good afternoon, depending on what part of the country you're calling in from. We'd like to welcome you to the First Funding, the Growth Playbook. And this is all about business planning. My name's Ginger Bell. I have with me the one and only Matt Coles. Hey, Matt, how you doing today?
I am good, Ginger. Thank you. Looked like you enjoyed a nice vacation in the last couple of weeks, so congratulations on getting back to work.
I did. Yeah, I took for the first time, I think in my life, I took 2 weeks off. Never done that before. So it was,
Good for you.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. So as we're going, we are recording this. I'm going to let people in as we go along. So I will be taking some breaks as we're going along with that and letting people in. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to go through kind of the structure as far as what we've been going through because this is actually, although it's the third of this that we've done, it's really the second in the series because Matt, we decided last year that we wanted to start a series to really help business owners, loan officers, non-delegated owners to really to get into their business and not just like that high level as far as, hey, here's some things you need to do, but really getting granular and getting into the details and helping to be able to develop that. And so this is the second as we're getting into this that gets into more details. And so what we're doing is every month we're diving into a particular section of your business planning. And the idea in doing this is to be able uh, to really build your business. So I am going to hold on just a second.
And the reason why it's important, right? Especially again, I talked about this in probably all of them that we've done so far is, in my seat, I talk to a lot of business owners, and one of the main objectives that they're trying to a lot of times do is I want to hire, recruit salespeople and or operational people. And I always start off with the question, why would somebody join your company?
Yeah.
Um, and oftentimes there's kind of a blank stare at me, right? There's no really plan of action or DNA to your company. And so and I know we mentioned this on the last call, can you imagine, walking into an interview with Apple and not knowing what their core values were,
Yeah.
or a Microsoft meeting and not having an idea of what their philosophies were, right? And so a lot of our business owners, especially our smaller business owners, entrepreneurs, pedal to the metal, always working hard, always grinding away 24/7. But sometimes if you just take a step back, if you want to grow your company, you kind of have to lay the footprint and the groundwork for what you want your company to be. And so
Exactly.
I've been really impressed with the feedback that we've gotten from this. I think we did this about 30 days ago. I mean, this probably generated more email traffic back to me
Nice.
as a thank you and as an opportunity to try to help even further.
Good. Good. Well, that's always good to hear because that's what we want to do. We're here to not just support in the business, but help to grow the business as well. So each section we have, these are the different sections we're going through. There's six in the series. So we're on number 2 right now. So obviously we'll work on number 3 next month. And then each month we're going to focus on each section in detail. And so we have a business plan. I put a copy of it into the chat. We also send a follow-up email. We have recordings of all of the sessions. I've been sending out a copy of those, but what I'm going to do, Matt, too, is I'm going to go ahead and put them into First Funding You. And so that way we'll start building a library. So if you want to go back or if you have other people on your team that you want to go back to, then they can also see it as well. And so I'm going to let you go ahead and talk a little bit. I need to let a couple people in here. So we've got some more people coming.
So we're focusing on goals today, setting
Yes.
goals, right? And I've been in sales for 24 years at this point. And when I first started my career, I was very anti-goal, which sounds weird to say now, right? But I'm like,
Yeah.
well, how am I going to know what the industry is going to do in the next 12 months? right? And then I always felt like it was kind of like a wasted effort with regards to my management. My management would come to me and say, "Hey, what's your goals for the next 12 months?" I'd make up a number and then I would never hear about it again, right? Um, and kind of management 101, right? Like, hey, just do this because I'm being told to do it and no one ever checks on it. So when I moved into the management position back in like 2015, I started really breaking it down to quarterly visions, even weekly visions for some of my people, weekly, monthly, quarterly. And then of course there is the year long, what do you want to accomplish, right? And I had a great coach, probably 6 years ago, says it's February of 2026. I'm on stage introducing you for an award. What did you accomplish that I'm introducing you about? What is the reason for the reward or the award that you're getting? And I always thought that was a great way to look at my goals for the year long. Like, what am I trying to accomplish? Numbers, it goes beyond numbers, it goes beyond closings or whatever it might be. But we always want to just measure long-term goals with regards to measurable activities and something that can be measured against and benchmarked. And I know we're going to be talking a lot about that today, Ginger.
Yeah. Which leads me to the next slide that is so important, and that is 90% of high performing individuals set specific challenging goals. And I think that that's the key. Is it's not just about setting those goals, but what are you doing to challenge yourself? And I love that story. I mean, we're coming up on February 2026, so it's like we've got a year for that, less than a year, Matt. So it'd be interesting to go back and see what you wrote down for what that goal is, because I have a feeling you've probably surpassed that by quite a bit. And that's part of that, right? Those challenging goals. The reality is only 8% of people achieve their New Year's resolutions, highlighting the importance of not just setting the goals, but that structured set, which is what you talk about. It's like beginning with the end in mind and then backing down. And we're going to go into that. And I have we have, handouts for you to fill out. We have some things we're going to talk about on how to be able to do that. And really, it's about using, and we've talked about this in a couple of sessions, is SMART goals. So people who use SMART goals are 33% likely to feel engaged in their work. And that's really what a lot of it is. It's not just a matter of being able to accomplish those goals, but that engagement is so important. And so I'm going to put a poll up real quick. And I just want to, and be honest with yourself. This is, we're all amongst friends here. So just be honest with yourself and let, think about how many of you have a written list of goals, and starting with lifetime goals. I went to Europe for 2 weeks with my son, and that has been a goal for a very long time. And I had certain things I had to meet in order to do that. And I accomplished it last year. And so that was one of the things that was on my lifetime goal. I have yearly goals. I have monthly goals. I have weekly goals. I have daily goals. And so those are the kind of things that are so important. So I'm going to throw a poll up here. And just how often are you conducting your goal setting? I mean, and be honest with yourself. Are you doing this? Are you doing this daily? Are you setting daily goals? Are you setting weekly goals? And you can answer several of these. Like, this is not a one or, just pick one. I want to know really, where are you at? Are you inconsistent? And that's okay, because sometimes, that's life, right? So we want to be able to get you back to that consistency and what that looks like. A lot of us do the annual goals, quarterly goals. And it's funny because I've just started getting into doing quarterly goals. I always do annual goals. I have my monthly goals, and I do weekly and daily. But because, and especially as the market is shifting so much, and me and my business, I've been shifting quite a bit, getting into some of those quarterly goals is important. And so,
It's
okay.
it's amazing, Ginger, because if you look at your life, right, you probably have personal, professional, health, family, all different tracks of goals.
Great.
And it's wildly, I am so disciplined about my professional goals, but I didn't get these chubby cheeks by being consistent with my health goals, right? So it's wildly affected about where you spend your time. And
Yeah.
so it'll be interesting to see the answer to this because I don't know very many people that are disciplined in every aspect of their life.
Yeah, it's like that wheel. When I used to be a corporate trainer with Dale Carnegie Training, and that was one of the things we always talked about is like that wheel and all those spokes in the wheel, that it's important to have that balance. So I'm sharing the results and not surprised. 50% are inconsistent. And that is not unusual. You're not alone in that. Annually, so about a quarter of you are doing annually and monthly. Nobody's doing daily or weekly. And so and that's part of those daily weeklies. Those are the things, guys, I'm going to tell you that will move the needle faster than anything else. Is when you get into those little incremental goals that you can get into, that's when you'll start seeing some changes. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to stop sharing the results there. Okay. So I want you to think about how many of you can, so that's on a personal level. How many of you are conducting goal setting with your team? And I'm not talking about the annual, let's get together, how much do you want to do? But I mean, really goal setting, getting into that conversation that you had, Matt. It was like, okay, it's February 2026. I'm introducing you on stage. What am I going to talk about in terms of your accomplishment? And especially, I think right now, doing those kind of goal settings, not just in terms of business, but what are some personal goals, professional goals that people want to get into? And getting on a personal level, how many of you are conducting goal setting with your partner or with your family? How many of you teach your kids to set goals? And I'm going to get personal for a minute because goal setting is something that's part of my DNA and it's very important. And I've been able to accomplish a lot of things because of goal setting. And I started teaching my son years ago about goal setting. And I get to be a mom that brags a little bit. So he's a three Palm Eagle Scout. He's 30 years old now, so these pictures are pretty old. He is a best-selling author. He's had the opportunity to work alongside people like Jack Canfield, to be involved in a lot of different things. And we do goal setting every year. We actually have started doing ours some quarterly as well. But it was January of 2012. And I always find with boys, it's better if you just take them for a drive in the car because then you don't have to have eye contact with them. So we were going for a drive in a car. I think he was driving at that time. Um, and so I had said, okay, my goal for this year is I want to become a best-selling author. And his goal was to place in the top 10 teams in the world for Order of the Arrow for NOAC. And so we both supported each other in our goals. We set spreadsheets, we had plans, we checked in with each other. We helped each other to be able to reach this. I got a coach for him and his team. He put a team together, and we really worked synonymously to be able to get this accomplished. Fast forward to August. So that was July of 2012, August of 2012. And this is what's so crazy, Matt. And I don't know if you've heard me tell this story before. So that was the first book I ever co-authored. It was with Brian Tracy. And he had put his team together, and we honestly were getting on a plane to fly to Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, to have his team compete in the World Championship. So they had been invited to compete. We'd submitted a video. We got on the plane. As we were getting on the plane, I got an email from my publisher that said we had hit 4 bestseller lists. So the book had just launched. We had hit 4 bestseller lists on Amazon. And so
Awesome.
that was on the plane right there. As
Awesome.
soon as we land in Detroit, I get another email from the coach that I had brought on to help the team. And they had, from their video submission, made it in the top 10 in the world. And so on the very same day, we had both been able to accomplish those. And that's the power of it. So it's not just a matter of setting goals for yourself, but having other people involved with it is very helpful to be able to do that. Um,
Fantastic.
real quick, 2019, same kind of thing. We had set goals together. I had my list as far as some of the books that I wanted to do, coaching, video production. He had his list. He's into esports. So he wanted to put together a team that would compete in this world championship to get a pro franchise and to get $10,000. And we both accomplished all of these things that year. And this, he calls this the magic board. So it's one of those things, Matt, you have to write it down. You have to make it visual. And honestly, this board, every year, he tells me, he goes, Mom, what I write on this board every year comes true. And so every year he writes that every single thing that he wrote on this board came true. And so it's not just a matter of having goals, it's a matter about really allowing yourself to dream. And goals, I always say goals are dreams with an expiration date. And that's really what it is. And so that's just a matter of getting, okay, what are your goals? And how can you set them? And so, Matt, I'm going to let you talk about this because you do a fabulous job talking about our SMART goals, right?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, can you have Blaine write on his board to have Matt improve his golf handicap by 7 strokes? Really need that to
On the
happen.
magic board, I will.
Yeah, I really need that to happen in the next 3 months.
Okay.
All right. I mean, listen, the specific goals, everyone has probably seen this 1,000 times, right? Um, I always, I'll use an example of a loan officer I was talking to probably about 3 to 4 weeks ago. And I said, well, what are your goals for the year? Because it was really the first time we had sat down. And she said she wanted to meet 25 new realtors,
Okay.
right? All right, that's a good goal. Is it 25 realtors this year? And what does it mean to meet? And how are you going about it? And how are you measuring it, right? And so like when you break it down like that, it looks like an elephant, right? And if you got to take small bites out of it, right? And
Yep.
so 25 sounds like a huge number for what she was trying to accomplish. So we wrote this down. We're like, okay, what do you say you want to meet? You want to have a business meeting with 25 different realtors in your current market or whatever, whatever specific language you want to write, right? How are you going to measure it? Are you going to wait till June? Or are we going to measure it on a weekly basis? Or are we going to measure it on a bi-weekly basis? What is the measurement of time where her and I are going to come together and say, our goal is 25. Up to this point, we've met 3. Is that once a month, twice a month, once a quarter? How do you want to measure it, right? Because we don't have that measuring stick that's out there. Time goes by. I mean, listen, it's crazy that we're already in mid-March of
Yeah.
2025 already, right? And so you're looking at it and you go, time just goes by. And I am very much a victim of letting my inbox take over my goals on a regular basis, right? So on my calendar, I have very specific check-in points. Is it attainable, right? If if she met 3 realtors last year and now it's 25, I don't know, what's a reasonable number? Is that attainable? Maybe, but what's really out there? Is it maybe 10, to triple X your goal or your previous accomplishment? It just depends on what you're trying to accomplish, but make sure you're not setting a goal, right? Like I always want to finish about 90% of my goal,
Right.
right? And I always go, I want to set it far enough where at the beginning of the year or whatever it might be, I go, that's going to be hard, right? But I can do it. I can do it.
Right.
If you set it too far out, sometimes you're just going to feel defeated, and that's a natural human reaction, right? You're like, man, I set my goal for 25 new realtor relationships. It's August. I've only met 4. I
Right.
mean, it's just you don't want, and then you're just going to give up, right? You're just going to give up for that piece of
Yeah.
time,
Maybe that 8%.
and then be time based, right? Do you want to meet 25 by the end of October? Because I don't know if anyone on here this call knows realtors, they don't like you to work in December and November, right? So like you got to make sure that you have a very specific time base. So I know we've all seen this before, the SMART goals, very, very common in our industry. But when you sit down and you make a bold statement, it really does. And I'm a big believer, much like Blaine, you got to write it down.
Yeah.
write it down and recraft it. And even, I know we're going to get into this in a little bit, share that goal with somebody else
Yeah.
to say, hey, does that make sense?
Right.
And based upon what you know about me and my work ethic or effort, do you think I can do this?
Yeah.
Right.
And
And
it
so
gives that
I know we're going to talk.
accountability. So when you have someone else you're working with, it's like, hey, it's like Matt and you and I work on a lot of goals together anyway. It's like, okay, can this, what is this too much? And then sometimes you need to shift, right? Sometimes goals change and you need to shift. So working with someone else can help be that sounding board as well.
Yeah, I mean, as a perfect example, I had a young salesperson just last week. I want to make 10 phone calls an hour. Okay, that's a good number. But what happens if one of those phone calls is super great and it lasts 45 minutes?
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, why don't you try to figure out how long you want to be on the phone with every person you call rather than, so trying to be even more granular with what you're trying to accomplish. So
Yeah.
just something to think about for everybody. But I know SMART goals have been around. We're not recreating the wheel. All we're really kind of trying to say today is if you are setting your business plan, make sure that you have a specific and measurable goal for your first 30, 90, 180, and 365 days of the year.
Yep. Yep. So, and you gave some examples, but let's look at some of those. So specific. And so a general goal, make more money. Specific goal is make $30,000 per month by December of 2025. And so that is getting very specific. And, you can't work towards that goal if it's a general goal. You have to know exactly what it is you want to attain. The next thing is measurable. So the goal you set has to be measurable. A general goal is close 20 loans a month. A measurable goal is prospect a minimum of 90 minutes daily, meet with 3 realtors weekly, and complete 5 calls daily. And so, it's okay to have that close 20 loans a month. That's a general goal, but how are you going to get there? So making it measurable. And those are the things, it's like that time, just like, the phone calls. I'm going to make phone calls for, an hour a day. What is the end result? What does that look like too? And so having that measurement is so important.
And I'll just share, Ginger. It's funny. I mean, it's actually really making me think about the golf lessons that I'm taking, right? Like, I want to hit the golf ball better, and I'm going to take lessons right now. And really, I'm 5 lessons in, and we haven't even gotten to the backswing yet,
Yeah.
like the actual swinging of the club, right? So it's all about setting the foundation for
Right.
what you're trying to accomplish with regards to getting the end goal. My end goal is to hit the ball better, but there's 7 or 8 things that I got to do sequentially to make that happen. And if I don't build that foundation, it's never going to work.
Right. And that ties into, is it attainable? I mean, it's like, Matt, you could be, I want to be a pro golfer. It's like, really?
Uh, yeah, that ship has sailed. That ship has
Exactly.
sailed. I just want to
But
beat my
what is
degenerate friend.
attainable? It's like, okay, I want to improve, my game by this amount,
Right,
right?
right,
Or it doesn't even have to be that. It's like, I want to improve the enjoyability of the game to
right.
where I don't walk out there and feel like I'm a complete, schmuck on the course. Those are the kind of things. Is it attainable? Is it something that you want? And in this, unattainable, earn $1 million in the next 3 months. I don't know. Maybe it is, win the lottery, whatever.
Yeah.
But attainable, earn $500,000 overall in the next 12 months. So those are the kind of things, and just make sure it's an attainable goal.
I mean, in my seat, I talk to a lot of business owners again, and you'll talk to someone who's moving from broker to banker. I go, well, what's your objective in the first year? I'm going to hire 50 LOs. Have you ever hired one? Right? Like, let's start with one and build the
Yeah.
foundation of what it takes to hire one, and then that will replicate itself to be able to hire two. So, while I do always love people that shoot for the stars, this is one of those ones that I really just challenge people on. Is it attainable?
Yeah.
Very key question to ask yourself.
Yeah. And to go along with attainable, is it realistic? And so an unrealistic goal would be to run a marathon without any training. Can it be done? Yeah. Would it be miserable? 100%. The realistic goal would be complete a marathon after training for a year. So is it realistic that you can do it and make it to where it becomes that attainable goal? And then finally, that time based. And this is one that people don't do. And as I said in the beginning, goals are dreams with a deadline. And so it's important to have that time based element in there because it's just like the first set of goals that I shared with Blaine, 2012. It's like we had set that date, and that date was based on when the competition was. So that was an easy thing. But we had that, and we both had it. It was, I mean, ironic that it happened. I don't think it was ironic. I mean, it was just a lot of synergy, but then exactly the same day, two different goals that we were able to accomplish it. I mean, that, is pretty amazing in there.
Well, that's the old adage, right? People will make time for things that they want to do.
Yeah.
If your goal is to record a first time home buyer video, like this slide says, you will make the time to do it,
Right.
right? It's pretty it's a pretty simple idea. Like amazingly, for a guy who's late to a lot of things, I am 5 minutes early to my golf lesson every single time. Okay. So again, referring back to the golf, right? I'm just like, you'll make time for the stuff that you truly want to accomplish.
Right.
So at that point, if you're not setting aside the time, is it really, was it ever a goal of yours? That's ultimately the question for yourself.
Yep. Okay, so now let's get into planning. So we know what the SMART goals are, but now you have to create a plan and you can go through this. A lot of you may have this. It's just a very standard industry form that you can use to create a plan for your income. And so this is one of those things, and it's a good thing to use if you're going to, do something like this with your teammate. You can, with your team members, to go through what your desired income is, the average commission per loan, look at what you've done over the last 12 months, the number of funded loans needed. You're going to divide those, the average loan amount over the last 12 months, the closing dollar goal, whatever that is, your funding to application goal, and the numbers. So this is one of those things that can help you. And you think about, what's the plan? So this, when we start off with this, now we have an idea. It's like, okay, if I know how many applications, so you have your funded, I'm going to do funded. Well, if you have to have so many applications in order to reach your funding dollars, then that goes into your planning. That's part of the plan that you need to be able to have in order to reach those goals. So you need to know your numbers. In order to do those, how many daily pre-quals do you need? How many weekly applications do you need? How many monthly closings do you need? And when you start getting into this, starting at this is what I want, and so I know if this is what I want to fund, I need to know so many monthly closings, and I need to get so many weekly applications, and I need to do so many pre-quals, then those are the numbers you want to concentrate on, and that's on your target. I mean, that's a do or die. Those are the things that you need to focus on. So what are the things that you need to focus on in order to get this to happen? And this goes into time management. And one of the things you said, Matt, is, and we all become a slave to the email. And you have to become diligent on controlling your day. You have to manage your time. And I've used this for a long time. I call it the urgent important matrix. And so anything that comes in, whether it's an email, whether it's a phone call, whether it's someone knocking at the door, you have to decide, which part of this matrix does that go into? Is it something that needs your attention right now? Is it urgent and important and it's a fire and you have to pay attention to it? Is it someone at the closing table and something's happening? And it's like, yes, it's 100%, this takes priority. Or is it something that's important, but it's not urgent? So it's something you need to pay attention to, but maybe it doesn't need to be done right at that time. It's the discipline of not working on it. So when you get that email, say, you know what, that's important. I'm going to come back to it, but I don't have to answer it right this minute. Then you have your urgent, but it's not really that important. So is it urgent for you? Is it urgent for someone else? If it's not urgent for you, and if it's urgent for someone else, but maybe it's not that important, then maybe you need to back burner that. And then there's this, and this is where a lot of people like really get confused. It's that gray area, not urgent and not important, but yet we focus on it. And so those are the things, Matt, it's the discipline. It's like, don't answer that email, put it away. And it's hard because, and I know me, I like crossing those things off the list. But I have gotten very diligent about only working on the things, number one, that are in that urgent and important right at that time, and then sticking with my schedule, my daily schedule that I have to work on the things that are going to move the needle to help me reach my goals. I have a feeling you probably do a lot of this as well, Matt.
Well, actually, in the last year, I probably have struggled with this more than anything else, which
Yeah.
I feel like, especially everyone that's on this call that's in the housing and mortgage industry, the CC line on emails has grown to include everyone that they've ever talked to about anything regarding mortgages. I mean, I literally would get emails with 24 people CC'd on an email,
Oh my gosh.
and the title is urgent, and
Uh,
it drives me up a wall. And it's kind of new to this position I've had over here, so I've really had to be disciplined to try to block that out and just trust that the person who that was meant for is going to handle that situation, right?
right. Well, and that
Um,
falls into that. It's urgent, but it's not important to you.
right. And it's hard, right? Because, as a guy who wants to provide incredible customer service, and I want to make sure that everyone's well taken care of, to jump on that email and give the answer that everyone's looking for. But there's 23 people on that same email doing that exact same thing, right?
Right.
And so a lot of wasted effort with regards to the inbox these days. So I don't know the answer to it. I'm just saying that that's something that I struggle with, is how to prioritize my inbox when everybody in the entire organization is CC'd on an email.
Yeah. And
So
creating folders might help you. So creating
yeah,
these kind of folders where it is just into this matrix.
right.
So it's like, okay, urgent but not important, and then the not urgent and the not important. It's like those are the things that drive me crazy.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, don't need that. But really, it's like manage your time. It's your time. We're all
Yep.
given the same 24 hours. And so it's up to you to choose how you do it. You are in charge of that. So amazingly enough, you are. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is like identify areas that you can improve on. And so looking at those kind of things. So, for example, what are 2 to 3 projects or practices that you want to implement that will change or enhance your business? And write them out, prioritize them, and assign target completion dates. And so I've given some examples up here as far as areas that you can improve on. One that I often talk to with people is working on your database to improve your follow up. I mean, you mentioned that already in email, categorizing your referral partners, moving those clients into A, B, and C categories. Because if you're spending time with the wrong referral partners, it's wasting your time. But if you take the time to work on your database and to improve your follow up and categorize those clients into your A, B, and C categories, it can help you to reach some of those bigger goals. So these are things that you can work on that can be part of your goal setting. And when you do that, it can help to make things much more efficient. Things like making direct contact with your last 2 years of closed loan clients. What does that look like? So, what do you need to do in order to do that? What are some of the things you need to accomplish? Hire and train a marketing assistant, hire an outsource for creating editing videos, scripting yourself and your team for follow up and training videos to send to clients and partners, learning to use social media effectively. These are the kind of things. It's like having an honest conversation with yourself. It's like, where do I need to improve? We talked at the beginning, setting those big goals. So if you're going to set those big goals, what are the things you need to improve in order to be able to reach those, right?
Yeah, well, one of those speak directly to me, and I appreciate you even putting it on there, which is the hiring someone to edit your videos. So I was a pretty early adopter of videos at my previous employer, And I got discouraged because I just didn't have anyone that would edit it for me. And I don't know how to do it. And it's not something I'm looking to spend my time trying to
Right.
do, right? So I would make a video, and then whoever stamped it for approval would say, "Hey, can you change this language or can you do this?" And it's like the moment's gone, like I don't have it. I don't want to redo it. And so you kind of lose that enthusiasm for doing it. I love doing it, but I didn't like the editing piece of it. And now, that you and I are working together, I love the aspect of like, hey, here's this dumb video of me. Can you make it look good?
Yeah.
Right. And so just having that real conversation of like, I don't know how to do everything. I don't want to do everything. It's pretty easy to find someone that can do all this edits and everything like that. And just saying like, I'm going to take that responsibility off my plate and move it on to somebody else.
Yeah. And those are things you shouldn't be doing. I mean, it's like there's so many things. And if you spent the time to go through, it's like, okay, here's the things that I'm good at, that's important to my business that I should be working on. And here's the things that I'm not good at that I can outsource. Or you can find there's a lot of AI things now that you can use.
Yep.
So what does that look like? So don't have it just, I can't do it. And first of all, I love your videos because you're so great on doing videos. And that's the other thing too. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does have to be something you focus on. And so you want to identify those areas, and look at what are the different strategies you can use, and discover what works. And so when you do that and you say, okay, here's the things I need to work on, here's the things I need to change, use your SMART goals in doing that, then you will see that your productivity will increase. And just like you're talking about doing videos, you love doing videos, you're great at doing videos, but that one thing you didn't like or didn't know or didn't want to learn was editing. Well, there's, definitely people. It's like that's one of the things, obviously, in the training development that I do, and I love doing it.
Yeah.
So it's like discover what works for you. Okay, next we want to look at mastering the disciplines. And so, these are some disciplines. And again, this is just an example that can help you in your business. And so, you talked about the conversation you had with your business partner, a new client that wanted to have 25 realtors. Okay. So then what you need to do is be disciplined about setting 3 appointments with your realtor partners weekly, and have that goal. Okay, this is a goal and I'm going to have this. And if I have to make it's, Friday and I don't have my 3 appointments set up for next week, then you got to focus on that. You don't open the email, you close down the email. You don't even look at it. You say, I am not doing anything else until I get this goal accomplished. I need 3 appointments for next week. When I was with Dale Carnegie, and I love this example we used to use when people would have every excuse for not making accomplishing a goal, or whatever it was. And it's like, well, I didn't have the time. I, couldn't make the phone calls. The people weren't there. Nobody had any money. And my boss would always use this example. And he would he would say, okay, do you have any kids? Yes. Or are you married? Or do you have someone you love? I mean, whatever. It's like, okay, if I took that person and I held their head in this bucket of water and said, I'm not letting their head up until you have 3 appointments set. How fast could you make those appointments? Oh, well, wouldn't be a problem. Really? No excuses. No, no, no. Are you kidding? It's important. Oh, so it's not important enough. And that's the thing. We let ourselves off because we say it's not important enough. When it becomes important to you, and when it becomes important enough that you realize, and there's the visual for you, right? It's like someone's holding, your cat, your dog, your kids, whatever, and heads in a bucket of water and not letting it up until you accomplish that, then it becomes important. So it's a matter of how important it is for you. And so mastering the disciplines in order to do that is important. Don't let yourself off the hook.
Yeah. And to that further point, right, to set 3 appointments a day, I was talking to an LO and their goal was to have lunch meetings Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays with a realtor. I'm trying to, yeah, it was lunch meetings Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I said to the LO that wanted it, that was the goal that they were trying to go. I'm like, your hair is on fire every day at 12:30 because of problems that arise on
On
files.
closing, yeah.
Yeah, why are you punishing yourself by trying to make a goal while you're not going to be able to focus on the realtor that, and by the way, I don't know that any realtor is going to really want to sit with you for an hour Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? Like make it a, make it objection. Like is 10 minutes enough time or does it have to be an hour, right? So just when you're setting the disciplines, like one of these that we have on here is block out, right? Block out 2 hours. I refuse to block out 2 hours on my calendar for anything, right? It's just my calendar is too busy to have 2 hours. I'm very comfortable with 30 to 45-minute segments, but once I get to 2 hours,
It's too long.
when that comes up on my calendar, I'll be like, you know what, I'm just going to move it. I don't have 2 hours today,
Yeah.
right? So I won't move 30 to 45 minutes though, right? So just knowing and understanding what exactly is the discipline that you can marry up to and what you can accomplish is also very important.
Yep, exactly. I love that. So just mastering the disciplines, here's some examples of some of the things that may be on your list. But the most important thing is make it a habit. If it's something that you want to become a habit, and especially if it's something that is consistently a part of growing your business, do it the same time each day. And if there's things that you don't get accomplished, that's okay. Transfer those unfinished tasks. And don't get caught up on it. It's like, hey, you know what? Today was a fire day. I played fireman all day. But if you have that on there that every single day you're going to do this, some days you're going to hit, some days you're not going to hit. But it becomes that habit and then it becomes second nature. And so that makes it easier to be able to become a part of everything that you're doing. And then the next thing is create and work your plan. So begin by writing down your goals, creating the plan for it, identify those areas where you want to improve, manage your time, and develop the discipline. And stay focused. And so I put some quotes in here. I always love quotes. This is from George S. Patton. You need to overcome the tug of people against you as you reach for high goals. And so it's important to be able to know that you can accomplish that. And it's okay to set those wild, audacious goals. Even if you reach, 90% of it, that's still a great accomplishment. This one from Les Brown, if you set goals and go after them with all the determination you can muster, your gifts will take you places that will amaze you. And I know for me specifically, for my son specifically, that is very true. And then finally from Thomas Mann, people's behavior makes sense if you think about it in terms of their goals and their needs and their motives. And think about that with your team. What's motivating your team? What are their goals? What are their needs? So not just about yourself, but what does your team need? What do they look for?
I love that last one. That was one of the, it's no secret. I tell people all the time, when I first became a manager of people, I was awful at it. I was really a terrible, terrible manager. And the reason was I was pretty successful. And I would just assume people would always want to have the same success I was having, right? We'll just do what I do. It's so simple. Look how easy it is. And when you learn about what, the motivation is behind somebody that's trying, not everyone wants to be a number one performer. Some people, they're doing it because it's their passion, but they don't necessarily need to do it. Whatever it might be, right? Everyone has their own motives behind them. And that took me a solid year or two for me to realize when I first became a manager.
Yep. Okay, so in the handout, what we have here, and I'm going to send a follow-up, we're recording this, a follow-up, I put it in the link. This is for you to use. So this we've created, it has your target goals, and this is for 6 months. Now, if you want to go longer, you can go longer. I think just given the nature of everything that's happening right now in the market, 6 months is good. And then the next thing is target goals. So what are the things that you need to do? So for your 6 month goals, being, successful, what are those things that you need to work on? And sometimes it's getting into personal development, not just professional development, but then also what are the things that you can do maybe with your family, with your friends to help support that, to find someone else, because having that outside support is important as well. And then your target goals. And so what are those things? And we talked about some of these. It's going to be different for every single one of you. So one of your major business objectives, and then what are the goals, the things you need to do in order to achieve those. And then there's a place here also for your income goal. So those are the things for you to use, and send a copy of it. But the main thing is, go ahead,
Yeah,
Matt.
so sorry, it's perfect timing, right? I mean, we're just about a week and a half away from the end of the first quarter of 2025. What a refreshing time to be able to reset.
Mm-hmm.
We have some momentum, on our side. We're about to enter the busy buying season.
Yeah.
What a great opportunity to set your goals for the second and third quarter of 2025. Using everything that we talked about today, smart goals, realistic goals. But what an awesome time, perfect timing for this presentation to be able to say, okay, chalk up the first quarter. Maybe you had great success, maybe you didn't. I'm really focused right now on the second and third quarter of 2025. Let's go out and rock and roll.
Yep. Which leads us to next month. So in April, we are going to be talking all about your branding. And so this is my love. What I love being able to build into is you and your brand and what that looks like, which will tie into being able to accomplish those goals. And so if you are registered already for our series, I'm going to register you already for that. It'll be on Tuesday, April 22nd, same time, same bat channel. And Matt, thank you. Thank you for all of you who attended. There will be a survey that'll pop up at the end of the webinar. So if you can just take a quick second and hop on there, we love to get your feedback. Matt, I love that you shared that you've gotten so many emails from this series. So let us know, not only for this, but then what other things you want to hear about? What are some of the things that we can help you in your business?
Yeah, no, and thank you everyone for making time out of your day. I know it's never easy to block out some time, but really with this series, we're really tackling something that I think is worth, especially if you're a business owner, it's worth 45 minutes of your day per month to try to figure out if you're on the right path of doing something that you want to do, right? So again, in my seat, I talk to a lot of people that are starting their own business, moving from that broker to banker model, and they want to grow it to something special. And you got to build that foundation. So I really appreciate us taking the opportunity to share with this, Ginger, with our group of lenders and clients about building that foundation for their future success.
Yep. Awesome. Okay. Thanks. You guys have a wonderful week, and set those goals, and we'll see you all next month. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.